Greetings, Vault Hunters all across the 6 galaxies. Welcome to the Bordercast. We are live at our usual time, 2 p.m. Eastern, 11 a.m. Pacific, and I'm Mitsu.
And I'm Testica, coming to you every week to break down all things Borderlands.
As always, we want to take a minute to thank all of our new listeners on iTunes, Spotify, and Stitcher, and those watching live right now on Twitch, YouTube, Facebook, and hopefully we're back on Steam, Tess?
Yes, I think.
Hey, we're back on Steam, hooray! Or later on the VOD on YouTube. If you are enjoying the program, we would love for you to give us a big ol' like, follow, or favorite. It makes me feel warm and fuzzy inside when you do, especially those of you who leave comments in the YouTube section. I read all of them. I really do. I'm actually like secretly liking some of the ones, and I'm sure some of you have seen that I comment on others because I have things to say and I'm not afraid to say them.
Hi,
Tess.
We like to talk a lot. It's a thing. Hi, Mitsu.
We do.
How are you doing?
I'm all right. It's been a long week in Borderlands, and I'm really excited to talk about co-op. But I figured first we'd get through some of the ongoing important information that we have. Tess, what do the people need to know about this week?
Well, Tales from the Borderlands is on the Nintendo Switch, and it seriously makes me want a Nintendo Switch because that is a game that I probably could actually handle even with my derpy hand, because it's just QTEs and like, choosing dialogue and stuff like that. But the story is so good, and having it in the handheld device that you can sit on the couch with or get on a plane with after you've been vaccinated and it's safer, blah, blah, blah. It's cool. It's really, really cool. So yeah, that is a big thing. Also, the Borderlands movie is currently being filmed. They keep tweeting out little teaser things, and it's just wonderful. I'm like trying really hard to hold back the anticipation monster, because when you really start to think about something and get really hyped and get really excited, and then you have to wait for it, it's painful. So I'm like trying not to be too hyped, but let's face it, I'm actually really hyped because it's going to be awesome. And I'm psyched to see what they come up with. Crossplay, something that we get asked about all the time. So we're just going to talk about it right now. It is coming at some point, hopefully in the relatively near future.
Yeah.
When, we don't know, but it is coming. It is coming.
I wanted to point out in previous run of shows, there hasn't really been too much of a conversation that we've been hearing rumored from everybody that we talk with on a weekly basis about how the progress of crossplay is coming. However, in this past week, everything was re-upped, and it is not forgotten. It is coming. We don't know when, but it has not been forgotten about. So if you are excited for crossplay, if you've been waiting, please hang tight a little bit longer, I promise. And I don't promise things unless it's going to happen. It's a rule of mine. It's going to come. So just hang tight, guys.
It's on its way. Also, this week, Maurice's vending machine has moved. It travels. This time it can be found on Necro Tefeo. Where exactly? Why don't you go and find out for yourself? Because Necro Tefeo is beautiful. And also, it's just an excuse to go and explore a beautiful area in the Borderlands. A great vendor. You definitely want to go check it out. So just saying, go look. I'm going to be looking. Definitely.
You're gonna be looking.
Yes. And something that we also get asked about all the time, Revenge of the Cartels. It is coming. We don't have exact dates or anything, but it's coming. It's happening.
Yes.
Definitely happening.
It's important to clarify, because Revenge of the Cartels was so dang diddly dang popular that everybody keeps asking about it all the time. I know I've already seen a bunch of material saying that it's going to happen that's been publicly pushed. But we don't have a specific date. All I know, listen, I'm gonna put it in perspective here. There's absolutely no way on God's green earth they would ever not bring back Revenge of the Cartels. I literally have one of the t-shirts from it last year sitting over in my closet. They didn't make t-shirts
cool.
for the Halloween haunt.
That's
They
true.
didn't make t-shirts for Mercenary Day. They made t-shirts for Revenge of the Cartels. So it's coming back. Oh, when? But soon.
Yeah, that's really true. I totally didn't think about that, but that was the only one that got its own merch.
Yeah.
And
merch was ballin' too.
Yeah, it was really good. And the soundtrack. Okay, so the soundtracks to everything in Borderlands are amazing. You can find them all on Spotify, by the way, in case you're looking for them. Like you can look up Revenge of the Cartels on Spotify and you'll find it. There's a specific playlist for it, and it's all the original soundtrack. And the same thing goes for DLC 6, Director's Cut soundtrack. So good, Chef's Kiss. I just added it to my big Borderlands playlist that I use right here on this channel and on my own streams. But yeah, they're really, really, really good. They're available on Spotify. They're available on iTunes. You should definitely check it out. But that particular playlist for Revenge of the Cartels is one of my favorites. And I'm excited to just be back in that space in the game. So eventually, soon, hopefully, we don't know when, but soon. In the meantime,
I was going to say, I just wanted to do a quick primer for everybody because there are some people who might not know why we're so excited about this real quick. Okay. And then I also want to kind of refresh everybody's mind because we just love talking about it here. Revenge of the Cartels is a yearly event that goes on for about, what, a month or so? Last year was about a month, yeah?
Yeah.
That takes place in an 80s themed planet where an intergalactic drug lord named Joey Ultraviolet, who's dealing in piles of iridium dust, which you actually get to see at his mansion, is basically pissed off at our favorite Saurian Maurice. Maurice cheated at a game of, I guess, like space poker, essentially. And so Joey Ultraviolet, getting kind of justifiably mad at Maurice, sends 1, 2, or all 3 different sects of his cartel after Maurice. So you have to go to different areas, find Joey Ultraviolet's thugs, you kill them, and then once you've killed enough of them, you collect the information on how to get to Joey Ultraviolet's planet. You go through the mansion, which is a beautiful, beautiful set, which you will fight one of 3 mini-bosses, and then you will go fight Joey Ultraviolet himself. You have the option of actually fighting all 3 of the mini-bosses as well, if you explore the entirety of the mansion, but you're only required to fight just one. It is a ton of fun. If you need iridium, you're going to find tons and tons of it all over the place. And the weapons and gear that you get, just ask around. Ask about the yellow cake.
Oh, God.
Ask about the OPQ system.
I want an OPQ that's current. Oh, my God. So badly. I'm so excited for that. That's gonna
Ask your friends about the fish slap.
Yes. So many good builds with these items, and I'm just super looking forward to, like I said, being in that space. The cool thing about the Revenge of the Cartels also is that like the experience is a little bit different every time you go through. It's different sets of enemies, right? So like you might go in with one build that's geared towards fighting like things that are weak to corrosive damage, for example, and then the next time you're in, you might need to change it up and fight things with shock damage first and then switch to corrosive, or vice versa, or something else. So the enemies do change. They're like groups of different kinds of enemies from the rest of the game, and super, super, super cool that you have to like keep adjusting. It's not the same experience every time, which is great.
Yeah. If you're a fan of neon colors, if you're a fan of 80s style music, because the soundtrack is awesome, as Tess was talking about a little bit earlier, if you are a fan of all things like Scarface, if you're a big fan of that movie, this is the event for you. And if you're just a fan of great loot, because it really does have great loot. It really does.
Yeah. OPQ. That's enough said.
Oh, boy. I saw in the YouTube chat they were talking about also the yellow cake. The yellow cake is the reason why.
That is a good gun. Very, very good gun. Yeah.
It got slightly nerfed. It didn't matter. It really didn't.
Yeah, it wasn't really like, it was just readjusted a little bit for sanity. And it's awesome. It's a very, very fun gun. So I'm excited to get a new version of that too, because it's always nice to go back to your old favorites. In the meantime, though, what have you been up to this past week, Mitsu? I know you've been doing lots and lots of co-op, like all around.
Oh boy. All right. So I promised 2 weeks ago when I finally got my Series X that I was going to talk about 4-player co-op split screen.
Nice.
Okay. And last week I actually did not get a chance to talk about it because I didn't actually get a chance to play it, which made me very sad, which is why I didn't talk about it. So last Friday, some of my oldest friends came by. They have not played Borderlands 3 at all. Well, okay, that's not true. One of them has. He's beaten the game one time. Okay. But for the other 2, this is a completely fresh, new experience for them. New eyes. They've got a ton of questions. I don't necessarily have all the answers, but I tried my best. I tried to channel like my inner Moxie and Triple G and Thick Fillet and Lazy Data and Quag and like try to put all of these things together so I could actually get them builds, because we each played a new character and we didn't play the same characters. So they kind of pigeonholed me into Zane again. So I have to play Zane. What a horror.
So tough to do that, right?
The worst, the absolute worst. I'm being sarcastic here for those who can't tell. Somebody's gonna be like, Mitsu hates Zane, you said it. No,
he's
I love Zane.
Actually.
My favorite I am. It is actually true. So one of my friends immediately equipped Iron Cub. So Baby Bear was running around with railguns.
Oh,
yeah,
cute.
Because I was like, dude, just try it. Just try it. I promise it's worth it. Another friend was using Fadeaway on Flak. Another friend was using Phase Grasp on Amara. I was trying to think if he decided between Phase Grasp or Slam, because I did try to talk him into Slam because I personally wanted to see it, but ultimately crowd control wins the day.
Yeah, that's fair. That's understandable.
Yeah. So it was a lot of fun on co-op. I can say that it runs really well in terms of the frame rate. It's at least 30. I would say it's probably about 30 to 40, somewhere in there. But I'm also not the best judge eyeballing of frame rate. So, it was better than one would expect. It looks great, with all 4 screens. Obviously, the bigger screen you have, the better it's going to look. We don't have to play on CRTs anymore, but you know what I'm trying to say.
Yeah.
This isn't perfect dark, kids. So like that worked really well. The only issue that I had is kind of a pervasive issue that's kind of been plaguing Xbox users right now, which is on a load-in, there is a chance, unfortunately, that it will crash to desktop. That was the only issue that we experienced at all. Outside of that, they had a lot of fun. I had a lot of fun. Tomorrow, they should be coming back around again. We're going to try and squeeze some more time to play in, and I'll report back to you guys with how that goes as well. But I can safely say, if you happen to have a PlayStation 5, if you happen to have a Series X, if your friends are currently vaccinated and it is safe for them to come by, bring them over, grab 4 controllers, show them Borderlands 3. You're going to have a great time.
Very, very cool. Now, I have a question for you, Mitsu. Did
Sure.
you use, or did one of your friends use the fancy Elite Xbox controller that we got sent?
So I didn't remember we talked about, well, I don't know if we talked about this, but I didn't know that we were going to be getting those controllers, obviously. Oh boy! All right, we're gonna have to talk about the movie in a second here, because I just saw new casting news just broke. So we're gonna one second. I promise we'll get to it. Of course, right while we're live too. Why not?
We can switch to. I mean, we can talk about it, right? If that's
sure.
But you should finish your story.
Yeah, I'll clarify very, very quickly for everybody. I didn't know that there was going to be those controllers arriving, so I already had an Elite controller. So another friend of mine used it.
Oh, okay, cool.
Yeah, and then you can use an Xbox One X controller. So a friend had an Xbox One X controller, and then another Series X controller, the one that actually came with the system. So everybody had a unique experience in how they were actually using controllers for it. It was fun. It was really cool.
Very, very cool.
And just to refresh, because somebody is asking in the YouTube chat, yes, crossplay is coming. Promise. I'm just gonna re-up on that real quick. Do you wanna break the news for the Borderlands movie?
Sure. Give me 1 second to pull it up on the correct monitor. So, as it turns out, more cast members have been announced, including Gina Gershon as Moxie, Cheyenne Jackson as Jacobs, and Charles Babs as Hammerlock. Oh my God! Wow. Hold on, let me open the actual article.
Charles Babaloba. Or Babaloa.
Okay.
Charles Babaloa. There we go.
The tweet has their like Twitter handle,
hands.
so I was like, wait, I'm confused. So wow, Gina Gershon is Moxie. That's awesome. That's really, really, really cool. So yeah, Cheyenne Jackson is Jacobs, Charles Babalola as Hammerlock. And then we've got Benjamin Byron Davis as Marcus, Stephen Boyer as Scooter.
Hold on. There's more. I opened up. So Deadline just pushed the article right now. You ready for this, Tess? I'm about to read off some real big drops here.
Yeah.
So Gina Gershon as Moxie, Cheyenne Jackson as Jacobs, Charles Babalola as Hammerlock, Benjamin Byron Davis as Marcus. So Marcus is in.
Yeah. Oh my God. That's awesome.
Stephen Boyer as Scooter.
Wow.
Get your ride! He's here. I'm so excited.
Yeah.
And Ryan Redmond as Ellie.
Wow.
I just looked because I'm not familiar with that actress. Yeah, that's a perfect fit. That's an excellent fit. Bobby Lee is joining the cast in the new role of a character called Larry, apparently.
Okay.
So, wow. The hits keep on coming. That just happened.
Yeah,
and yes, Gina Gershon will be
crazy.
Moxie. Yeah.
That's awesome. Oh, I do know this actress. I had to look her up too because I for some reason didn't know her like actual name. I'm really bad with knowing. I know the characters' names a lot of the time, but I'm really bad with remembering actresses and actors' names because I'm a terrible human. And so I just have the memory of a fish. So I'm more of a fish than a human apparently. But anyway, that's really cool. Wow, that's just yeah. They always hit us when we're least expecting it with this awesome, awesome news. That's exciting. That's very exciting. I think Gina Gershon will be a badass Moxie. It'll be cool.
She'll do a really good job.
Yeah.
We were lobbying, of course, for 55 to be Moxie, but
yes, and Killer 6
I
for
think this will be
Marcus,
okay.
of course. And a certain Mitsu for Typhon DeLeon, because that should just be a thing.
Listen, there's still a chance that could happen, especially if they do an animated series.
Yes. Oh my God, that would be cool. That would be really
A companion
cool.
animated series would be really good for the movie.
Yeah, I just want more Borderlands. Like, I just
Yes.
want more. I want more things in this universe because it's such a cool universe and there's so many interesting characters and there's so much. Like, I want a TV show. I want a TV show for all of my favorite things, basically, because TV shows I feel like give you like a long-term kind of existence in that world and you see like some of the day-to-day and you see more locations and more interactions between characters and you can get like into the nitty-gritty and I love that. It's just I don't know, the immersion in that universe is cool when you do that, but of course we could do that in the game also.
Yeah.
This
TV
is
as
cool
long
news.
form does work out really well in companions to movies. That's why the MCU is so successful because they've managed to finally find a way to weave all of that in. And I don't want to get too deep into that, but there were some low points, unfortunately, stuff that I personally love that we won't see again, and some high points with that as well. But that's for a different podcast. We're here to talk about Borderlands.
Yeah.
Yes.
Very, very cool. Yeah. So movie news.
This seems like something we might wind up having to have 55 on again for.
Yeah.
Because I am. We said we were going to have her back on when there was movie news, but there's movie news every week. We can't have her come back on every week. It's just not fair. But I feel like, and I don't know, so don't quote me in some random article that Mitsu said this is it. But I feel like this is probably the last big dump because now we have pretty much everybody you could think of in Borderlands listed in the cast. I mean, all things considered,
everybody.
well, not everybody. Not some of the Borderlands 2 Vault Hunters aren't here, but everybody else, all the supporting cast that we're familiar with from 1 and 2, and I guess technically 3, they're all here. So I wonder, like, who else can you throw in? I guess they just didn't want to do Helena Pierce, but we also found out that the story isn't really following 1. So if it doesn't necessarily just follow 1, you don't really need her.
Yeah. I'm so excited to see what the story actually is going to be because we know it won't really be anything we expect.
Yeah.
Which is cool. It's really cool to have another cool story in this world. I'm just psyched for that. It'll be good, friends.
I think it'll be really good. So Tess, now that we've completely gotten sidetracked, let's try and bring this back where it needs to be. What were you doing this past week in Borderlands?
I mostly was just trying to level up my vault cards because I still have yet to get a diamond key. So I'm just like chasing that elusive rare unicorn of an item. Because I really like I've obviously been inside the room, because the room, just in case you're curious, if you want to go check it out yourself, is on the bridge of Sanctuary. If you go to the windows in the front and then like down the little stairs and turn around, there's a big door that was always there, but you can never go inside. Now you can go inside, and if you are lucky enough to have a diamond key, you can open up the big chest in the middle, and it opens up like a whole room full of items and cool things, and you want to grab them all because there's good stuff in there. But I have not gotten one yet. Yeah, so I just need to keep working on that vault card. That's basically what I've been doing.
So with the vault cards, how are you feeling about them as you've gone along so far?
I like it. I like it a lot. I really like that there's a daily like set of things to do, because it gives me like some direction. Because like there's lots of times where I'm a player that's been playing like you, like a lot of us, from the very beginning when it launched on Epic. So I've played this game a ton, like so much. I basically have, aside from like some things that I would want from like the Revenge of the Cartels event or the new DLC, I have a lot of the things that I could possibly want. Not everything. Not everything's perfect. I ran out of Iridium re-rolling some stuff, but definitely I have a lot of what I want. And so like it's often like I want to play Borderlands, but I don't necessarily want to do like a one life run, which I do those a lot, and they're really fun. But I tend to want to do those on stream. Sometimes I just want to jump into the game and like do something, but I don't have any direction of what to do, So the vault cards are giving me like new life, because every day it's something different. I'm like, oh, I have a goal. I have like a little thing I need to do here and a little thing I need to do there, and I get to hang out in the Borderlands for a little bit that day, and it's really nice. I really like that. Plus, I really, really, really want a diamond key. That's the thing that I'm chasing now. So yeah, it's been good. What about you?
I really enjoy the fact that vault cards exist. I've used them to a certain extent, and I'm trying to find the words for it. I feel like the rewards justify it, but the rewards are a tiny bit lackluster. A tiny bit. I want them. I really love what's there, but I really kind of was hoping they'd stand out a little bit more in comparison to other things in the game, right? And I guess that's a balancing thing. If they stood out too much, you would just farm vault cards forever, and that's just what you'd use, right? So maybe it's a good thing that they don't stand out as much as they do. But conversely, there is going to be a contingent of people out there who are going to say, well, I want these things to be worth the time investment. I want to go out there, and if I get this, I know that this is going to be. It's like arms race. People, that's why the arms race guns were as good as they were, because the design philosophy behind it was, well, you're putting time in the arms race. The guns are a little difficult to get, but if you get them, they are going to be the best in slot weapons that you are going to get, or very close to it. The plasma coil. Need I say more on that one? So that's just how I feel about it. Overall, I agree with you. I agree that there is a contingent of people that are really happy that there is structure and a reason to come back and play the game every single day and every single week, and to feel validated. I'm surprised you haven't gotten a diamond key yet, though.
I know. I guess I've just been unlucky.
I'd love to know what the drop rate is. I feel like that's a lazy question.
Yeah. He's definitely the numbers guy. Lazy _ data. If you're looking for him on Twitter, every time there's a hotfix drop, he always puts out the exact percentages of what things are, and also pulls off totally crazy things occasionally.
Yes, we'll actually be talking about that in a little bit during hotfixes applied, because there were hotfixes this week, and we're going to talk about that in a little bit. But first, speaking of lazy, I believe we have a clip from him, don't we?
We do. We have a little clip we found on Twitter. Give me 1 second. Make sure I'm using the right mouse.
Yes. As Tessa's setting this up, I'll set this up for those of you who might be listening on the VOD afterwards. Lazy is a madman, and he figured out how to do something absolutely insane with the ion cannon. I think we just should say he's beaten the game.
Yeah.
A game that you technically really can't beat because it's supposed to be replayable, ad infinitum. He beat. It's done. It's over.
Something you need to understand about this is I don't think he applied any skill points. Like he basically zeroed out his character. So no action skill, no skill points applied, nothing. All right. So watch this.
Game, stop stuttering when I need to take the shot. Thank you.
No skill points, friends.
Unbelievable.
You get him.
For those of you listening right now, Lazy is currently doing Psycho Reaver, which is the last boss of DLC 4. He has the ion cannon, and you can... He took one shot and took off half of its health. Now he's busy dodging a few mechanics. He just went into Fade Away. Pulls out his ion cannon, lines up his shot, takes a shot to get a little extra buff off of some falling stuff. Lines up his shot again. Boom. Right in the neck. Done. He two-shot Psycho Reaver. It takes me 20 minutes to kill him.
Yeah.
He two-shot him.
It's crazy. It's absolutely crazy. Lazy is superhuman. He actually is superhuman, I think, when it comes to Borderlands, and it's awesome. It's just fun to see the crazy stuff that comes out of his crazy awesome brain.
Yeah. It's unreal exactly what he is able to do with it, and we are so grateful that he is such an active and positive member of this community. Which kind of leads us into another thing we'll be talking about that involves him. You know what? I think we need to have him on next week.
Yeah, we should do that. Yeah, we haven't had him on in forever. I miss Lazy.
Yeah. Well, it's been a while. The pandemic was kind of rough, and he had to move around and lock down for a bit. But hopefully he's doing well. So we'll see about getting him on.
Yeah.
For his favorite segment and mine as well. Hotfixes applied. Oh boy, it's April 29th, 2021, and there's more hotfixes than ever before. Actually, there aren't, but there's a couple good ones in here, and I happen to have some of the percentages that Lazy managed to test, so we're going to be talking about all that, and you and I are probably going to have a discussion about loot progression is kind of the theme of this particular hotfix.
Yeah, there's some good stuff in here. Should I start us off?
If you would like, please, by all means.
Sure. Today's changes to Borderlands 3 buff various pieces of endgame gear and address reported instances of the wrong class mod sometimes dropping for the Beastmaster and the Gunner in the Guns, Love, and Tentacles add-on. That actually makes a lot more sense now. As a reminder, because I play Moe's. As a reminder, Maurice's Black Market vending machine will be moving to a new location every Thursday at 9 a.m. Pacific, 12 p.m. Eastern. Like we said today, this week, it's on Necro Tefeo. Go find it. We won't tell you exactly where it is, but you have a lead of where to go, right? These changes will be live on all platforms by 12 p.m. Pacific, which is 3 p.m. Eastern, so in about 15 minutes from right now. To apply hotfixes, wait at the main menu until you see a sign that reads "Hotfixes applied." Okay, so just make sure you see that sign. It's on the big signpost. It's in red. You can't miss it. But just make sure you see that before you actually jump into the game. If you're experiencing any issues or want to provide any feedback, please submit a ticket to support.2k.com. So one of the changes, they made a change that makes the class mods for the Beastmaster and the Gunner drop for their respective characters more frequently in the Guns, Love, and Tentacles add-on, which is cool. And then there were some weapon adjustments. They said that they're taking a pass on some gear obtained in higher Mayhem levels and the 2 takedowns. Our goal is to provide a stair-step experience from Mayhem 4 to take down at the Maliwan Black Site, to Mayhem 6 to take down at Guardian Breach. Players should feel a ramp of power through these changes as they tackle each piece of content. The following pieces of gear received a damage buff. The Mayhem 4 level gear included is Crater's EMP5 and Tankman's Shield. The takedown at Maliwan Black Site gear included the Servos
Execute.
Servos Execute. Thank you. I never know how to say those.
Leet speak is something I picked up a very, very long time ago. I don't know if it's a good thing or bad thing, though.
I think it's a good thing because a lot of people use it, and I just my brain does not compute.
Which is funny because it's leaked to me.
Right? I should
good.
be able to. I should be able to understand it, but I can't. Anyway, Moonfire, Kibsworth, and Redistributor. That's actually really cool because some of those are my favorite guns. Kibsworth. Mayhem 6 gear includes Reflex, DNA, and the Multi-Tap. And the Takedown at Guardian Breach gear includes the Web Slinger, Globetrotter, Smog, and Lightspeed Grenade mod. So I'm really curious to hear if those changes, specifically the Guardian Breach gear, like if those are really, really significant, like what the response is from the community, because I love the Guardian Takedown. It's probably one of my favorite pieces of content in Borderlands 3, and I never really ended up using the guns. I just like running through that whole location and the boss fights. I just like the experience of doing the takedown, but I never really felt like I felt like I was doing it more for like bragging rights or feeling the accomplishment of the challenge and a little bit less for the loot. So the loot's really important. It's a loot game, right? So I'm really curious to see if these changes make these more kind of desirable for everybody, and make myself included.
So these values are brought to you once again by Lazy Data at lazy_data on Twitter. The multi-tap is 175% better now. That's the buff value that was on the multi-tap. The redistributor up 160%. The Kibsworth up 150%. The Reflux up 31%. The Globe, this one actually shocked me. The Globetrotter is up 50%. And the Tanksman Shield is up 55%. As of this particular tweet, Lazy goes on to say that anything not listed that got buffs elsewhere that cannot be seen on the card value at this time. So either something happened and it didn't get implemented in the game at the time of the hotfix, which that does happen sometimes, but they very quickly readjust, or it's a more hidden value and just requires further testing. Thank you, Lazy, for putting out that information as you always do.
Yeah, huge thank you, and for letting us borrow from your Twitter. It's really nice.
Yes.
It's really useful to have those numbers in front of you, because like just knowing that things got buffed is great, but actually seeing like the math in this game, I say this all the time, but it boggles my brain. And having somebody that actually knows what the percentages are, I appreciate that a lot.
Yes. And so I wanted to take a few seconds to actually talk about why this is the way this is. So over the course of the past, year and a couple months now, one of the issues I think that several members on the content creation team raised was it doesn't feel necessarily like there is a loot progression in how things are going. There are Mayhem 4 weapons. Now there are Mayhem 6 weapons as well. So one of the big issues was it didn't feel as rewarding when you did the Maliwan takedown and then the Guardian takedown. There wasn't an established hierarchy for what the vision was for players to tackle each of these encounters. Okay. So what they're doing here is they are establishing this hierarchy. They're saying, if you are looking for some gear that will get you through the takedown at Maliwan Black Site, go to Mayhem 4, get an EMP5, which I love that name, get a Tankman Shield. These guns will help you get through Maliwan, the takedown at Maliwan Black Site, right? So you do that. You get a Servos Execute. You get the Moonfire, which, by the way, I am sitting on a ton of Moonfires. So this actually made me really, really happy. I think it's either Triple G or Moxie. I think it's Triple G put out a Moonfire build, I want to say 4 or 5 months ago, that we talked about briefly on Ultimate Vault Hunters, which is the reason I hold on to it.
I sort of remember that. Remember that. Yes. Okay.
Yes. So now I feel like my patience has paid off on that one because I've been wanting to use it for some time, and I still was a little afraid. I am no longer afraid. Let's see. So Kibsworth and the Redistributor, right? So you get those. Those will help you get into Mayhem 6, where you would get the Reflux, the DNA, and the Multi-Tap, which then help you get into the takedown at the Guardian Breach, which then give you the Web Slinger, the Globetrotter, the Smog, and the Lightspeed Grenade mod. So the idea is stepping stones. And I know what some people are going to say. Some people are just going to say, oh, well, you don't really need to do that. You could just turn it on Mayhem 10 or 11, drop an Iron Bear, and just blow everything up. That's actually that's fair. That's like I use like the push up the glasses, which I do because I'm a nerd, like nerd voice for it, and it's a fair assessment. But at the same time, you just have to remember, not everybody is either A, that skilled and knows that. A lot of casual players won't, or 2, wants to do that. Some players want to challenge themselves to play through the levels intended as they were designed, to challenge themselves how to go through playing the game as intended, in quotes here.
Well, also there's lots and lots of challenge runners like me and DePriesticles and Mystique Siren, who was on the show last week. Definitely, like we're just some of the streamers, but there's lots of people out there on the Discord. Which, by the way, if you want to check out the Discord, !Discord in the Twitch chat, or it's just discord.gg/Borderlands. There are tons of people that do challenge runs that would do like 1 life runs, which just basically means if you die, you delete the character. And when you're doing something like that, you most certainly are not going to jump straight to Mayhem 10 or even Mayhem 6. And
No.
it really depends on your drops too. When you're doing a new playthrough, like with a fresh character, if you're not boosting that character at all with like items from your other characters or anything like that, you don't have the ideal anything. You know, it's really might be a huge challenge to try to jump mayhem modes, mayhem levels without like making that kind of progression. So it depends on the kind of player you are. There's still new people jumping into Borderlands all the time. So for those people and for anybody doing something like a challenge run or doing something where they just want to kind of play like a fresh playthrough just for fun, this is a really good thing and it matters.
Yeah. It's an excellent way to redesign things. Just by gauging general community sentiment, Killer 6 loved this change. Triple G loved this change. I think Lazy's very big on board with this, and especially last week's change, because he was big on running Proving Grounds, and now Proving Grounds are guaranteed to give you legendaries out of the chest if you manage to make time, which, again, these buffs to these weapons will help you make time on Proving Grounds.
Yeah.
See how it all feeds back into each other?
Yeah.
So
yeah, that's really good because the Proving Grounds are great for people that really want to go fast, like the speedy among us. Maybe I should say the speedy among you because I'm not very speedy. That's the truth. But I enjoy watching you guys. So
I'm not speedy either. You know, I think I tried briefly in Borderlands 2 to do I think 1 life runs. I actually tried to do this is why I don't do 1 life runs. I was in Windshear Wastes. Now everybody's gonna be like, Mitsu, you're really bad at this game. Yes. But come on, you gotta give me like a little credit for this being funny. I was in Windshear Wastes. It was literally the first level where Claptrap finds you in Borderlands 2 and he like dusts the snow off of you and he gives you an echo too. And I'm walking forward. It's my first 1 life run just to try it. And I wasn't thinking, and I jumped over a barrel, and that barrel was one of the barrels that's on fire. It's like the only barrel actually that's on fire outside of Claptrap's hideout.
Oops.
And I lit myself on fire and I died.
Good job.
Like, you know, like this is why I don't do these things. I did try again.
Okay, I won't tell you how many times I have died in various video games very early on to very silly things. I will say that probably the thing that kills me more often than anything else, including enemies, explosions, all of that, is just like walking off of a cliff. Literally, just like running straight off of a cliff right in front of me. It's happened on many occasions. It happened to Priest that one time I was playing with Tweety, and I was like, man, I feel your pain. I've done this so many times.
It happens. It happens so much. And it's just like, oh, man, I feel silly. I've died to barrels in 1 life runs. Yeah. I've jumped over other flaming barrels and died because I just get either overconfident or I don't think about it because in a 1 life run, you have to think about it.
We just get distracted by shiny things, I think. A lot of us do. Because there's like pretty trash piles and beautiful loot and all these cool things. And yeah, it's easy to get distracted by all the cool stuff. Okay.
Yes.
But that's part of the challenge, right? So challenge runs are fun. I really like doing them. But yeah, there's a lot of ways to die in video games.
You have to be very, very careful. And again, this is why I don't do it. The only deviant way to play the game that I think I consistently enjoyed was hide and seek.
Yeah. Oh man.
I miss hide and seek.
That was fun. Yeah. I would love to do that again. Yeah. Also, if you die to a barrel, blame K6. Having actually died to a barrel blown up by K6 in arms race while playing with Mitsu, I can attest
I remember
to
that. That was with Jules too, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, that was when we were testing it out. Oh
Yep.
boy, that feels like an actual eternity ago, and it was what, August?
Yeah, it wasn't that long ago. It feels like forever. It's crazy.
Yeah.
It's crazy. Time flies when you're having fun in Borderlands.
Tell me about it. So yeah, I really like these changes. I'm hoping that we go a little bit further and have a few more adjustments before everything is said and done. Because we've received now more hot fixes after DLC 6 than I thought we were going to get. I thought things were going to slow down fairly quickly as time went on, but looks like we're still getting a little bit more, which makes me a happy panda.
Yeah, they're really, really trying hard to like nail in that perfect balance of everything, to really make the game feel like complete and to shine and to be where we all want it to be. They want to make as many of us as happy as possible, which is so awesome, basically.
Yep.
So it's really, really cool to see them continue to do that, continue to iterate and make those small changes, and listen to the feedback of the community, because they've done that all along in such an amazing way. So yeah, it's cool to continue to see that.
Yes.
They're good changes. We appreciate them.
Moving forward, I wanted to open the floor for you to talk about something that I know you care about quite a bit. The Webbies. The Webbies are happening again this year, and Borderlands, if my memory serves me correctly, won a Webby last year for Best Art Direction and is once again nominated this year for Best Art Direction again.
Yeah.
How do you feel about that specifically? Because I know you're the artiste among the two of us. So what do you think?
I mean, I think Borderlands deserves it. I actually don't know who's in the other categories, but I think the art in Borderlands is incredible. I joke about the trash pile thing because Mitsu has made fun of me for it for literally since the very beginning of the game launch.
Gentle light teasing. I'm not actually making fun of you.
I deserve it. It's fair. They have okay. This is why I think that Borderlands deserves every art award that it ever can be nominated for, and it deserves to be nominated for all of them, because the trash piles in the game are beautiful, okay? Everything. There's so many little tiny details all over the place. I remember actually relatively recently I jumped into Mollywood Takedown I think I was like testing a gun or something. Anyway, I was running through, and in the very beginning area, I was like, I think I was waiting for somebody else to load in. I don't remember exactly, but I was just kind of wandering around that starting area, and I noticed like a little toolbox with a gear thing and like some little like fine details in a spot that I just hadn't noticed before. And they were so well done, and the lighting in that space and just the colors of everything and all of these little tiny details. And the whole game is like that. There's so much beauty in it, and there's so much style in it. And it's just incredible. It's eye candy. It's literal eye candy. And I'm still, after how long playing this game basically every day for forever now, finding little things like that I just hadn't seen before. And it's really amazing. So plus all of those black lines that you see that like make the style go, those are hand drawn. They're hand inked. That's actually the art style. It's not cel shaded, which is something that's a little bit of a misnomer for this game. It is hand inked, and it's an incredible, beautiful style that I feel like has kind of like a timelessness to it. Because I mean, even if you go back and you play Borderlands 2 or Borderlands 1, even remastered or not remastered, they're beautiful games still. And how old are they? Like, it's amazing.
So the Borderlands art style has come a very long way. I know we've mentioned it, but a brief primer for those of you who don't know out there. Borderlands wasn't supposed to look the way that it looks now. A long time ago, in a Game Informer article, back in 2008, Borderlands had, and this was the art style of the day, a lot of brown and bloom. That was just what was happening in all the games at that point. And somebody somewhere along the way in the development of the original Borderlands thought that that really didn't fit the style of the game. You know why Borderlands works as a game? Borderlands works as a game because all of the parts of Borderlands come together flawlessly, and that includes the art. Because for us, the players, we're like playing a cartoon. We're playing a comic book when you play Borderlands. So when you see somebody explode, you laugh, you get an enjoyment out of it because you know it's not real. It looks like a cartoon. It looks like a comic book. And you might have not have even realized this, but your brain did. And so that's why I think personally, I enjoy Borderlands and its art style so much more than any other looter shooter out there, because the art style informs the enjoyment for how ridiculous the game actually is. If they had stayed in that brown and bloom, realistic, gritty kind of style that was really pervasive back in 2008 and 9, it was very popular, it wouldn't have the same impact. It would have just been another first-person shooter, and it might not have taken off.
Yeah.
But somebody, somewhere along the way decided, let's change it. Yeah. Let's do this cartoony style.
Yeah, somebody very smart, because I remember I started with Borderlands 2, but I think one of the reasons that I really liked Borderlands 2 in the beginning, and one of the reasons that I really wanted to play Borderlands 1, and I was sad that I couldn't for a long time because my old computer couldn't run it until they remastered it. But anyway, I was super, super happy to play it because it was different from anything else that I had seen, and it had a very distinct, beautiful art style that was unique and just visually, aesthetically very pleasing, and it was very cool. So yeah, definitely make sure you can help actually Borderlands win this Webby Award if you agree with me that it's one of the most beautiful games in existence, which, let's face it, it absolutely is. You can go and you can vote. I'm going to put the link in chat, and I will also put the link in the podcast description section. So if you're listening, you can still go vote. Okay.
Yes. I just want to give not necessarily give up, but just want to mention it's in good company with games such as Ghost of Tsushima, Kentucky Route Zero TV Edition, Call of Duty Black Ops Cold War, and Sky Children of Light. So Borderlands 3 is once again in incredible company for what is considered to be the Webby Awards best art style for a video game. Best art direction, I should say, which I agree with that wholeheartedly.
Yeah, every single artist, every single person that works on Borderlands is amazing to me, because the end result is this incredible game that I literally love playing and I love looking at all the time. And I think they deserve this award, absolutely. So please go vote for them. It would be awesome. We would appreciate it.
Yeah. It's just really great to see them nominated again. That's all I'm gonna say.
Yeah.
Oh boy. All right. So just real quick before we wrap up here, the director's cut's been out now for 3 weeks. Can you believe it's been that long already?
No.
Right?
It doesn't feel like it's been that long. It feels like it just launched. It's funny. I mean, I've just been having so much fun with it. I also like I said, I still haven't gotten a diamond key, so I'm just like, must play more, must work harder. But yeah, it doesn't feel like it's been 3 weeks. It's been a really fun 3 weeks, I would say. So
it has been
by fast.
It's been very surprising. A lot of people were a little skeptical that the director's cut was going to have some issues with content, and I don't think that's there. I think that the director's cut, the way I look at it is the director's cut also, because people say, oh, well, it's $15. I don't get it. You have to remember, development costs exist. And so every time there's a free hotfix, there's a free patch, people are still need to eat, essentially. So when you buy something like the director's cut, you're also helping all of these patches come out for everybody to enjoy, even the people who don't get the DLCs, because both takedowns are free. Like all the mayhem modes are free. And so you, by virtue of getting this, is helping Gearbox continue to fund all of these things that we're really taking advantage of now. You know, this patch, the most recent patch pertaining to Proving Grounds, the one before that, hotfixes, I should say, all of those have been incredibly well received. All of them. And that's thanks in part to all of you at home with all of your feedback that you give to us, that you give to them. So I really think the director's cut has been a hit on several levels. How do you feel about it, Tess?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, there's like a couple of things that are in it that by themselves I think are amazing. And if that's all that was in it, I would still have paid money for it because they're amazing. Like the behind the scenes stuff, and the Ava story missions and the vault cards. Like those three things are individually really, really cool. And they bundled them all together into this DLC, which is so awesome. Like I think there's a ton there. Of course, the raid boss as well. I didn't even mention. But I mean, there's a lot. It's a meaty DLC, I think. The story missions for Ava are great. They're like huge new locations, new sections of environments, but like it's art and locations that we haven't seen before, right? So you get to run through this whole new part of Promethea, this whole new part of Eden 6, this whole new part of Necrotafeo. Like there's a bunch of different cool places to go, and you get to hang out with Ava. And if you still feel a certain way about Ava, you absolutely need to check out the very first animation in the behind the scenes, which is on the main menu of the game. There is a sort of scripted storyboard animatic kind of thing that shows you this very important set of scenes with Ava and the crew after everything that happens with Maya. And it informs so much. And like, I'm so glad again that they put that in there. And like, Mystique Siren said this on when she was on Bordercast last week, and I super agree with her. Like, I feel like now every time I play through it, I'm going to, like, after what happens with Maya happens, I'm gonna exit out of my game, watch that scene, watch that animatic, and then go back into the game and keep playing, and then play through the Ava story missions. And it's just a really cool experience. You see her in a much different light. I felt better as a huge Maya fan. I felt a lot better having seen that. And there's so much more in the behind the scenes. Like there's a ton of detail and a ton of stories and a ton of like examples of stuff that they worked on, and really, really cool stuff. So I super recommend if you're at all interested in game design or just curious about what makes your favorite game, like how did it come together? What were some of the things that got left on the sort of cutting room floor? It's a really amazing set of behind the scenes stuff, and it's absolutely worth your time. And like I said, the Ava story missions are great. The final boss, the lore that's in those, especially in that last one on Necrotafeo, oh my god, it's so good. I actually like that boss better than Hemovorus. Hemovorus is amazing. I think I really like the Seer aesthetically, and the story that leads up to it. I'm very much a story person, so it's very cool to me. And yeah, that whole thing is amazing. And of course, like I said, vault cards are great. So I think it's a very meaty DLC. I think it's absolutely, more than I expected, which is awesome.
Yeah. And to just kind of echo that sentiment a little bit more, I personally love Hemo more, but I'm more of a history kind of person. So when Vermi showed up, we've talked about it on the show already, so I'm not going to bore everybody again, but I marked out real hard because I should clarify this now because it's been 3 weeks now, and I guess I should kind of show I'm gonna break down the fourth wall of radio a little bit here. So I played one of the advanced alpha editions of the sixth DLC, Words. So I knew that there was going to be Hemovorus, and I knew that there was going to be a second boss. I didn't know. I thought it was going to be a second Hemovorus. Okay. When I was playing with Cathalion and Char and Beemore, we did Mayhem 1. And of course, Hemovorus shows up. And then I was like, oh, go to Mayhem 10, go to Mayhem 11. Let's do the boss again. They were nervous, but I was like, oh, they're not ready for a second Hemovorus, but it'll be fun to watch their reaction. And I think it was either Char or Beemore And he goes, wait, what is Vermivorous doing here? And I played it off like I knew, but I did not know. And internally, I was screaming because we'd wanted it. We'd wanted Vermi to show up for such a long time. And then to actually have that happen, there aren't words. I was so happy. That's on a personal level, actually. This is just me telling a story about how I felt in that moment.
Well, I think it speaks to the variety of people that play Borderlands and how hard the people behind Borderlands are trying to make all of us happy. You know, like there's such a wide variety of different kinds of players for our game and that we all love. And like all of us want the same things, but not exactly. And I mean, maybe ultimately, but like there's so many different things that make different people happy that play video games. And Borderlands, I think, really tries to reach a ton of us. And this is an example of it, right? Like Mitsu, who's a different player to me. We like different things. Sometimes we like the same things, but like he's really happy. I'm really happy. I know a lot of you guys are really happy. Our teammates on the stream team have been saying how happy they are with all of the changes and all of the hot fixes and stuff. And that's the same thing as echoed on Twitter, on Reddit, on Discord, all these places. It's really cool to see that. Yeah. And I'm really glad that they've done that.
I think overall, the director's cut has been a hit. There's something in there for everybody. Just like with the designer's cut. They tried to put in something in there for everybody. They put in the 4th skill trees for those who like to min-max. And they put in arms race for people who just kind of want to drop in and try a completely different way to play the game. And I know that it's a little controversial, but personally, I still love arms race. I think arms race, could there have been more to it? Yes. But for what it was in the establishment of this idea, I thought it was incredible. I'd like to see it fleshed out more. I'd like to see the ability for you to get your skills. Just have like a random chance, if you open up a chest or something like that, that maybe you get like a little thing that allows you to have your action skill back, or maybe gives you the option to put in like a talent point somewhere and you can like rebuild your tree if you get lucky, right? So that adds a little bit more RNG to the equation and allows you to use your action skills, which was a complaint that's, I think even Tess, you said that. One of your complaints about it was because you loved arms race overall, but one of your things was like, I miss my action skill, right?
Yeah. I mean, I think a lot of people felt that way, but I think the more I played it, I actually missed it less and less because I started to learn the routes of where to go. And I also started to recognize like what was my first gun drop. You know, if my first gun drop was a gun that had elemental damage, I was golden to like go to some of the far reaches of the map. It doesn't matter where the murder cane is. I can make it. I've got my Molly 1, fire pistol and I'm good. Now, if you don't get lucky and you don't get an elemental damage weapon on the drop, you might be going to that like first room and you might be slogging through it. So if you just kind of like learn and then you stop missing it as much, I don't know. I think it grew on me actually, and I still really like arms race. But yeah, like I wonder what will happen with mod makers and if that's ever a thing that they can add into it. I don't know. Maybe it's something that ends up being added to the game eventually, like actually in the game. That would be cool. I do still think that having some sort of essence of your action skill would be cool. But as Lazy just showed you on Twitter, actually, you can get away without it, even in the base game.
That is correct. You don't really need all of it. All you need to do is just pick up a gun, aim true, and let it fly. Yeah, you know what? I remember when the ion cannon was nerfed, and I was like, oh man, they nerfed the ion cannon. I'm really sad about that. Because the ion cannon, I like guns that do exactly what you expect them to do, which is why I don't like the Jericho. Because I expected the Jericho to be a 50 cal so I could punch a hole through somebody's face. That's not what happened. It's basically a mortar launcher. I wasn't a fan of that because it looks like a 50 cal. It should fire like a 50 cal. But the ion cannon, I was expecting a laser beam of death. That's what I got. So and then when they nerfed it a little bit, I was like, but it's supposed to do that. If you miss, it does 0 damage. But if you hit, And so the fact that Lazy could two-shot essentially Psycho Reaver with it, I guess the nerf isn't that bad. Never mind. I take it all back.
Yeah. I mean, it is lazy, but still.
It is lazy, but here's the thing. When you think lazy, you think numbers. When you think lazy, you think builds. When you think lazy, you think synergies. Lazy stripped all of that away, and all he did was pick up an ion cannon.
Yeah, that's true.
So the point is proven, you know?
That's a fair statement, I think.
Yeah.
Well, you guys, season 2 is out now. The director's cut is here. We're very, very happy to be playing it. We want to hear more from what you guys think of the hot fixes. Go find the black market vendor over on Necrotafeo and see what he's got for you today and this week. Keep filling out those vault cards. And Mitsu, where can people find you on the interwebs?
Yes. Twitter.com/Mitsu Show, MITSUSHOW. Over the course of this stream, I actually saw a couple people follow me, so thank you for doing that. Those of you who followed, and of course, those of you listening on all of the podcast services, which Tess will mention in a few seconds, because I don't want to steal her part of the show. Thank you so much for those of you who do that and follow Tess and I across all social medias, and twitch.tv/Mitsu, MITSU. And of course, you can find us right here, twitch.tv/Borderlands, whenever we're live with the Bordercast, which we really do love doing.
Yep. And we're lucky to be a part of this awesome community. So thank you guys so much for tuning in. If you enjoyed the show as much as we love doing it, please feel free to like us on YouTube. Make sure you got notifications set up for Spotify, SoundCloud, iTunes, TuneIn, YouTube Music, and or Stitcher, whichever one you prefer, or all of them if you use all of them. And join us live on Twitch every Thursday at 2 p.m. Eastern, 11 a.m. Pacific. Thank you, you guys.
Tess, where can they find you?
I did forget that. Tess Games on Twitter and Instagram, and Tessa, CHKA, Tessichka on Twitch.
There you have it. Thank you, everybody, for watching. I appreciate all you guys. Thank you for listening, if you are. So on behalf of Tess, myself, and the entire content creation team, thank you so much for joining as you do every single week. Now go forth and make some mayhem.